Okay, so this is question 1, module 3, and this is just asking us to find the system of inequalities that represents the graph given below. First of all, let's start looking at our equations. This equation that has a solid line, it has a solid line and it is shaded below. So this would imply that the the inequality for it is going to be a less than, because we are shaded below, because it's shaded below, and it's going to be a less than or equal to because we are working with a solid line. If we look at the blue line, the one with dashes, the blue line is shaded above, which means we need a greater than, and we have a dash line, which means that we are only going to be working with a greater than, not a greater than or equal to. The only time you will have a line underneath your inequality symbol is if you are working with a solid line. Okay, so let's keep that in mind as we work through the graphs. I am going to start by graphing A. And the way I'm going to do that is both of my inequalities are already in terms of y, so I can just start typing them in. The first inequality has a y is greater than sign. Greater than means that I need to use a triangle that's on the top in my y equals. I'm going to go to y2 and I'm going to type in my second equation, which is 7x, my second inequality, not equation, which is 7x minus 2. My second inequality has a symbol of a less than, which means that I'm going to go all the way to my left in y equals. And now the triangle that I need to use is going to be one that's on the bottom for a less than. Okay, so I have both of my inequalities for answer choice A typed in. And now I'm just going to simply press graph. So there's my first inequality. And there is my second inequality. I know that my inequalities need to intersect somewhere around -4 and -6. And I can see right away that this graph that I have in my calculator does not match the graph that I have on my module. So I know that A is not it. Also, I have a greater than symbol and a less than symbol. I do not have a greater than symbol and a less than or equal to symbol. So just by looking at the symbols, I can already tell that that's a wrong answer. If I look at C, I have a less than or equal to symbol and a greater than symbol. So let's work with C next. Let's see, maybe that's our answer. I am going to begin by typing in my first inequality, which is 2x plus 2. And I'm going to go all the way to the left. I have a less than or equal to symbol, which means I'm going to require a triangle that's below for less than. Then I'm going to go to y2. And in y2 I'm going to type in x minus 2, my second inequality. I have a greater than symbol, so I'm going to be using the triangle that's above. Now if I press graph, that's my first inequality and that's my second inequality. That actually does match our graph here. And if I really wanted to check it, I know that these graphs intersect at -4, -6, right there. So I should be able to find that point on my graph. If I press second graph, on my table, when x is -4, I do see that I do have the point -4, -6 on both lines. So my answer here is C. But I could have eliminated A, B, and D just based off the fact that neither of those answer choices contain a symbol that is less than or equal to. They will all graph inequalities with dashed lines. Okay, so now let's move on to the second equation. The second problem. The second problem is asking us which of the following points represents the solution to the system of inequalities below. And this is a very, very simple problem. You don't have to do any solving. All you have to do is just plug in and check. If you plug in a point and it satisfies the inequality, you know that it is a solution to that inequality. Since we have a system, it has to satisfy both inequalities. Okay, so let's start working with answer choice A. I'm going to start by writing my first inequality. And I want to know if 8, 11 is an answer, it's a solution to this inequality. So I'm going to plug in 8 for x because that's my x value, and 11 for y because that's my y value. And whatever this is, it must be bigger than 0. So let's try it. 2 times 8 is 16 minus 33. And actually, let's put this in the calculator. 16 minus 33 is negative 17. Negative 17 is not bigger than 0. So we can eliminate answer choice A. Okay, so let's move on to answer choice B. And again, I want to see if that satisfies the first inequality. So I'm going to plug in 0 for the x. I'm going to plug in 0 for the y. And I could put this in the calculator. 2 parentheses 0 minus 3 parentheses 0. And if I do that, I end up with 0. Is 0 greater than 0? No, they're equal to each other, so B is not it. B is not the answer either. So we're going to move on to answer choice C. Okay, so I'm going to start by rewriting the inequality. I'm going to plug in 11 for x. I'm going to plug in 5 for the y. And if I put this in the calculator, this gives me 7. 7 is bigger than 0. Okay, so it works for the first inequality. Let's try it with the second inequality. X is greater than y. I'm going to plug in 11 for the x, and I'm going to plug in 5 for the y. Is 11 bigger than 5? Yeah, it is. So C is our answer because it works for both inequalities. It satisfies both inequalities.